Welcome to Positive Filter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career with a little self-help around the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope that what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. So I do a countdown. Oh, it's didn't no countdown. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of Positive Filter. It's your boy, Positive Filter, Prince of Positivity, aka Illil Phil, aka the illest, aka I got Austin, Texas on my leg, aka I just randomly podcast for fun. And I'm joined by a good friend, a frat brother, Jaylen. Now, funny thing is, when I say good friend, we have actually not met in person before, but that does not diminish his support and his friendship. It's kind of how crazy the world is in regards to, social media and also the fraternity that we're in, that we've connected and we really supported each other in these past, couple months.
Yeah.
That we've known each other. And I'm really honored to have him on the podcast. So, hey, Jaylen, give the listeners a little bit of a intro to yourself.
Sure. What's up, everyone? This is Jaylen Christie, a.k.a. Riddler. That's actually my line name, a.k.a. the Superfly Nerd, a.k.a. I don't know.
That's good. That's some good AKAs. AKA
Master.
AKA he's a Florida boy. AKA he thinks Florida is cool. Are you a native of Florida? Born and raised?
Yeah, I am actually, Philip. Yeah, so I was born and raised in Tallahassee, Florida, capital of Florida. Currently live in Orlando. Lived in Orlando now for about 8 years, and I am the director of public relations at Moxie. We're an integrated marketing agency in Orlando, Florida. Yeah.
And we kind of connected too because in my job I'm the industry advisor for media arts and design. I just saw you doing big things on LinkedIn, and I reached out to you, and you've actually helped me just do some informational interviews with some students, which has really been really appreciated, and just kind of gave them some best practices of how to get into PR and marketing and communications and all the things that you're doing. So that was really appreciated. And that's basically kind of the giving back that, that's what us alpha guys do, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're known to pay it forward, service above self. And Philip, quite frankly, I'm just trying to keep up with you. You won the 40 under 40 award, and everyone's not able, very proud of you, brother. Very proud of you.
And I was just waving. Now, my wife made fun of me because she said I was the only one that waved. I didn't know what to do with my hands.
Lord.
So I am a man child. But I think another thing we bonded over, and this is what this episode is about, was about we are, I would say, self-proclaimed nerds.
Yeah.
I guess people like to call it blerds nowadays, black nerds.
Hashtag blerd.
Blerds, whatever. And, but I think that just kind of goes to show that in regards to blackness and identity, that black people are not on a monolith,
Right.
We come in all different shapes, sizes, really not colors because we're all black. But different colors as well. But
melanin is magic. Melanin is
yes.
magic.
You know what melanin is?
What is it? Yeah, tell me.
It's like really active, some really active genes in your skin, and black people have really active melanin for protection. In the sun from African countries. So my son looked this up and was like, my melanin is not as fast as your melanin, Dad. I was like, but he said, but my melanin is faster than mommy's.
Oh my God.
I was like, he's smart. I was like, where'd you read that? He read it in a book. Like, there's this book about like we all come in different colors that he reads, which is, like I said, it kind of goes back to you, the library, reading books. My son is into that. And so, but going back to what we're saying, being self-proclaimed, blurs, nerds, whatever you want to say. I think it kind of ties in to that need for scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
but then also enjoying, fantasy and
Precisely.
sci-fi and
Yeah.
comic books.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I think now it's more cool. Let's be
Yeah.
real. Like
Absolutely.
with Comic-Con culture and,
The Marvel
cosplay
movies.
and the Marvel movies and cosplay, it seems a little bit more popular now
Mhm.
to be what we call your true self and nerdy. But it wasn't always like that, right? I don't know. What do you
Right.
think?
No, I agree wholeheartedly. So I always tell people that I was a nerd before it was cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was born in 1987. Oh, thank heaven, that was a great
Dang,
year.
you're younger than me. I'm old, man.
Yeah. Oh man, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah.
85. But okay. So 87.
Yeah, so I remember when Power Rangers debuted. Power Rangers debuted when I was in first grade,
Yep. Yep.
and Power Rangers is still going strong today. And I am like, I rep Power Rangers until the day I die. But the
Hmm.
first season was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with Jason and Zach and
Yes.
Trini and Kimberly and Billy and Tommy. And I remember, Power Rangers was hot when I was a kid, but I remember, still liking Power Rangers when I was in fifth grade and sixth grade and seventh grade. And I was
Yes.
never bullied or anything like that. But
Yes.
I do
Yes.
remember, having, some of my friends being like, gosh, Jaylen, like you're approaching high school. Like, why are you still talking about Power Rangers? Like,
Yes. Yes.
it's time to get over that, But I was like, what are you talking about? Power Rangers is awesome.
Yeah.
And conversely, I was into Batman the animated series,
Yeah.
which I still humbly believe is one of the best, television shows, best cartoon series around. Batman animated series, X-Men that used to come on
Yes.
Fox
Yes.
Kids,
Yeah.
back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yes.
Spider-Man. I love all of that stuff, Phil. And like it was few and far between for me to have other friends that were into the same things as I was.
Yes. Yeah.
Growing up, a lot of the guys were into sports.
Yes.
NBA, NFL, what have you. And I wasn't really athletically inclined. I played baseball for a few
Okay.
years,
Okay.
but
Cool.
they could talk sports all day and name like basketball players and
Hmm.
which teams were hot at the moment. I couldn't, but if you ask me a question about, which monster did the Power Rangers face in season 2, episode 13, I can tell you that.
Oh, that's really and that's super specific too. That's crazy.
Yeah, highly specific, So my growing up, it was different for me, But now you fast forward, to 2019, I'm age 32, and so many of my friends come up to me and pick my brain regarding superhero trivia because now like it's cool to be a nerd. You have these Marvel movies that are making millions of dollars. I think Black Panther crossed $1 billion. Captain
Hmm.
Marvel just
Yeah.
crossed $1 billion. You have Aquaman, which is DC Comics, but Aquaman crossed $1 billion. And now it's hip. It's cool. To be into this
Hmm.
stuff. And some of my family members and friends and associates or what have you. In trying to get involved and immersed into this nerd culture. They don't even know where to begin, so they come to me. And now
Yeah.
suddenly it's like, oh wow, I've known about this stuff all these years, but it's nice to be quizzed on it, to be helpful, so to speak. But yeah, man, like I was a nerd before it was cool. Now all of a sudden it's cool, but yeah, it definitely wasn't cool when I was a kid.
I don't think. I mean, I would say in regards to my individual nerdom or that interest in sci-fi, I was able to. I don't know, I mean, I guess when you say black people code switch and kind of assimilate and act well, quote unquote white, I was
Yeah,
able to flip it on and off. Like
yeah,
it was almost like as yours was like I definitely knew everything about um, that Batman animated series, and I like the Superman one that had the same drawing kind of style, and then like you said, like I'm hitting middle school and I'm still
yeah,
playing Pokemon on the
yeah,
Game Boy,
yeah.
but I was able to like kind of like play it on the low or under the table kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so, but it wasn't really a big deal because, as you said, you played baseball, I played sports too. And so I was able to flip flop and, talk. So I kept up with both. I think I just kept up with everything but, I don't know, homework. Because I was smart enough to like read. And so I always enjoyed, I remember as a military brat, just moving around a lot. But
yeah,
I would go to, I would actually go to comic book stores.
Yeah.
And just sit there and read a bunch of comic books and not buy them. You know what I'm saying? Like actually do that. That was one of my Sunday things, or one of my things me and my dad would do together. We would have like days where we go to like the bookstore, like actual Barnes and Noble, and just sit there and read as much as we want without buying the books. So I've always liked that kind of stuff, reading. I didn't like to read real books. I like to read comic books or graphic novels.
Yeah.
And then I would still play Pokemon. And as you said, when you were able, before middle school, you were able to like still do it and not consider it a certain type of way. But I remember particularly the line where I really came into a conflict of, having these interests and then trying to fit in was high school. And, quite honestly, I went from a very small private Christian school to a big public school. And that was the first time I started getting called or teased for acting quote unquote nerdy, or even further for acting, as we would like to say, acting white. And I never thought that was a conflict as much, not within my own family, who's very diverse and things like that. But I never felt like that issue and really hit my identity and having struggles trying to fit in until high school. And that's kind of where I kind of went into a shell of kind of hiding that interest, I really didn't, flaunt my Marvel shirts or flaunt, like I said, I had the Game Boy, but the Game Boy was in my book bag. And it wasn't like, like you said, I wasn't like flat out, I'm very social. I have a lot of friends, my best friends. Since 10th grade, they're actually cool. My best friend Hillard is captain of the football team. It wasn't like I was flat out like bullied, like, oh, I'm not going to go to school, anxiety bullied. But it was more like a mic. When they say microaggressions, it was more like a micro bully, like little teasing where over time I think it started to chip away. Like I couldn't act like this, and it wasn't large. Like there was never a blatant time where I felt like, damn, this sucks. But it was just over time, like, damn, I can't do this, or I can't like this. I got to start wearing, like different clothes. And just it was over time, and so then I think it magnified and it kept on going, and it was something where it was like still a low thing until I felt like more firm in my adulthood, as in like I like this stuff. When Iron Man started coming out, I was like, when that wave of Marvel coming out, I was like, I've been like this. I was really enjoying these things, and it was more like, oh, okay, now it's out and about. Now going to comic book conventions was cool because I did one in middle school. I did a couple in elementary school and middle school. Like, oh, now San Diego Comic Cons are sold out, but. I know. I think over time it chips away at you, and I think that low and slow drip of people not accepting, who you are. Sometimes it's not so blatant. It's not we like to think like someone bullied you, like just really harshly, slammed your head in a locker. But sometimes it's really not even the word bullying. Really, I think it's just a slow drip, of just constant picking of why you like that, or you're different. And it's very subtle, but over time it magnifies. What do you think about that?
Here's what I will say. So I remember when I was in high school, it's interesting that you indicated earlier, the whole acting white thing, which is something that I would hear from time to time when I was in high school. So, growing up, I was always, into reading. I was an accelerated reader. Could devour books, multiple books a week. First and foremost, shameless plug, a community with the first-rate library is a better place to live. So I want to put that out there real quick.
That's not a shameless plug, man. That's dope. I mean, like I said, books are definitely the gateway to knowledge.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to shade on you and say I don't like to read. I like to move. So I listen to Audible books, but I still But audible books, any books, however you devour that information. I think books, and I still read. When I say I read books, sometimes I like to just skim and just read different chapters. I just can't sit through and just crank ones out.
It's okay. All right.
But books are definitely the gateway to knowledge, and just like, I love the fact that my son likes to read. I think, so books, shout out to you, what you're doing in the library, the community is so important. But go back to what you're saying, the library and reading books. You was crushing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely was into reading. Definitely still am into reading. But for whatever reason, as a high school student, that was like, it was frowned upon by my friends that looked like me, which was a little upsetting, to be honest with you. Now, keep in mind, this is years ago. Things have changed, but I remember being told that oh my gosh, because I could read, or because I spoke I don't want to say properly.
I hate that. Because like we said, that means that puts, when we say speak proper, we put we putting whiteness on a pedestal that's proper. That's not.
Exactly.
That's not. It's just written word. How words are written.
Exactly. So I was on the receiving end of all of that in high school, and I wouldn't even necessarily call it bullying, because the individuals that said this to me, I mean, they were still my friends. They were just, it was teasing. Trust me, I gave as good as I got.
So I'm saying, slow drip. It's not flat out bullying.
Exactly. But sometimes I'd be like, well, darn, like, damn, like, really, this how you feel, because I can conjugate a verb, or because I modify my nouns when I speak. I'm being told that I act white. Now, it's interesting enough, that was high school. So in college, I went to Florida A&M University, which is a historically Black college university, HBCU. And things were radically different. When I stepped foot on FAMU campus, I was exposed to different wonderful kinds of, Black people, that were into, a multitude of just different things, who couldn't be placed into one specific category.
Okay.
And I kind of found my tribe, so to speak. Growing up, where you might have been teased for being a nerd, I got to FAMU. You had your athletes.
Yes.
You had your Afrocentric people. You had your clique that was into fashion. You had your nerds, who were embraced by everyone. Like it was whatever. So on FAMU's campus, like, I owned it. Wearing the Power Rangers t-shirts, wearing the Star Trek t-shirts. Can educate you on seasons 1 through 3 of the original Star Trek that aired in the 60s, but can also rap the lyrics to the baby, or whatever, So
at FAMU, you had that non-monolithic viewpoint, because I went to HBCU at Bowie State, and it probably wasn't as like, I don't think, as the same experience. So that even goes to further to show that not even all HBCUs are the same.
Right. Absolutely.
I think maybe more regionally in Florida. I don't know, but all HBCUs are not the same either, to say that. But I'm glad that you got that experience with a diversity of Blackness at HBCU. That's probably a good feeling.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely someone that is a proponent for diversity and inclusion. I humbly believe that variety is the spice of life. And if we were all the same, I mean, where would the fun be in that? Like, where's the fun in that? So I think it's important to embrace, our differences. I think our differences are what make us unique. And anyone who says otherwise, then, can we curse on this podcast?
I mean, you do. I just got to put the little explicit E.
Well, I will behave myself. So here's what I would say. anyone that thinks differently can go play in traffic. So
Oh, Kid Rocks. Yeah, Kid Rocks. I appreciate you. This podcast for the kids. No, but so, and then, I mean, and it, like I said, that slow drip, I think one of the things that even caught me off guard was still, even within our great fraternity, was that, was this notion of acting, quote unquote, white, when you kind of like act like, I thought it was scholarship. We're supposed to be, quote unquote, stereotypically the nerdy ones, I guess nerdy swag is alpha, right? Like, when I look at alphas, they sharp dress, but they're smart as hell. You know what I'm saying? That's my...
Absolutely.
And so what has really been a big tie is that the more and more I went into conflict of trying to deny that I like Pokemon, hide, that going into your shell and not really showing who you are, the more conflict I had, the more anxiety I had, the more less I felt being myself, even amongst my chapter or, line brothers, the whole fraternity in general when I went to nationals. And then I think one day it just clicked where I was like, well, you know what? I like this stuff. And not just like in general, but that slow drip. I was like, you know what? I think the more I do this, the more I fight who I really want to be and and my interest and my goofiness and my silliness. The more I fight that, the more anxiety I'm going to provide for myself. And the day I just stop, and then whoever's rocking with me rocks with me, and then you kind of stop worrying about that thing. But it's just interesting when we think of identity and think about your interest and what you find interesting and what people think, your interests mean about you. Like, just because you like comic books and all those things, or you like to read books, or you like to be scholarly, makes you a certain box. And I feel like sometimes over time, I feel like the more and more I people, I feel like there is no such thing as real boxes.
Right.
I mean, I wear the identities I want to wear. Like, I'm not gonna go as far as say I'm not black, I'm OJ kind of thing. I am black. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's the identity that I do wear. That's the one I do show the world. But also, I'm a father. I'm a Pokemon fan. A husband, and these identities, and the more and more I try to like hide those identities, because of what I think other people think about those identities, the more conflict it is, and it's not a good feeling. And, sometimes eventually, like I said, that slow drip, slow drip's going to make a flood eventually if you don't check it.
Eventually, yes, I agree with that. Absolutely. So I agree with you, Philip, quite frankly. So being, into, comic books and sci-fi and things of that nature, that's just one aspect of my personality, So yes, I am a card-carrying nerd. I wear it proudly, but I'm also a public relations practitioner.
Yes.
I'm also, into music. I'm also into dancing. Love to party, I am very, very much an extrovert. Love meeting new people. I like to consider myself cultured. I like to get out of the house, and do different things, and whatnot. Love the basketball. Love the NBA. Love the basketball. Wow.
Yeah, I love the basketball too.
Love the basketball.
I love the basketball. I love the foosball. I love all that.
Basketball life, but not the NFL so much. Basketball, not the NFL. Basketball, not the NFL. Favorite basketball player is JJ Redick, also known as Jonathan Clay Redick.
I don't like JJ, but we have a different reason why I don't like JJ.
Yeah, like JJ.
You know I don't rock with JJ, right?
What?
Because he went to Duke. I hate Duke.
What's the problem with that? That's where you got to start.
UNC, baby. That's the best team in college basketball.
We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. But yeah, so embracing your differences is what makes you unique. And owning that and moving forward, I think is fantastic. So interesting story. Because I know that we mentioned Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated earlier. So on my line, I am one of 5. So I was the ace out of the 5 of us, and my number 4. Carlin, I remember him telling me once, like right after we got done with the process, I remember him saying to me, Jaylen, like moving forward, you got to be 100 with us, you know, like own it, you know, because I was having some insecurities, you know, quite frankly, because I was like, oh, you know, I don't know if I necessarily fit in, you know, like I feel like, you know, these dudes are like, you know, cooler than I am or into different stuff, you know, than I am. I don't know if I necessarily click, you know, but I remember him telling me, you know, like, Jaylen, like, own it, you know, we support you regardless. Hey, you into Batman, you into Superman, you into DC, Wonder Woman, all that stuff, own it. Like, we're here for you. Like, we love it, you know? And moving forward, you know, that brotherhood, you know, that you establish, you know, that's like, wow, you know, like, it was nice, you know, it was nice to hear that, you know, so, because sometimes, you know, those insecurities come into play. What is something
and it's crazy, and it does, and it comes into play, and it manifests itself in different ways. And, you know, for us extroverts like me and you, it gets really noticeable when you just stop talking and you clam up. I just noticed I noticed I was losing my voice. I wouldn't talk. I wouldn't want to feel like I want to say nothing, and different things. And then I start forgetting who I was pre-alpha, and the laughing and the joking and the goofiness. And then it wasn't even like alpha people were noticing. It was more like other people were noticing me. Like, Phil, you know, what's going on?
Right.
And I think that's when, you know, quite honestly, my wife didn't have a favorable opinion about it, because she was like, you just act different. You're not as cheery as you are. Because I was trying to be so serious, or this different way.
Is this when you were with alpha, or is this like
post alpha? I'm talking about after I crossed, just like you.
Wow.
Where, you know, I thought you had to have this mold of, you know, I guess scholarship and all that, but like, you're right. Like, no one on my line is as goofy or as dorky as I am.
Yeah.
And I'm the ace. I don't know if that means something, but
and I'm the ace as well. I'm the ace as well. Yes. So
yeah,
I'm with you.
But it was like that, and I stopped acting like who I was pre-alpha. You know, the goofy person pre-alpha, and it was noticeable. It was noticeable to my wife. It was noticeable to my friends pre-alpha. And like I said, I was losing myself in that, feeling like, you know, again, like Pokemon, I can't rock with that jam. And I'm just using Pokemon as an example, but it was just other things where, you know, I don't know what, you know, Vanessa Carlton. I don't know. I was just thinking like the things that people would tease me and say acting white for. And then I realized, you know what? I do like Vanessa Carlton and Pokemon and Snorlax.
I like Vanessa Carlton too. She's that chick that plays the piano, right?
Yeah, that's it. I only know one song though, 1,000 Miles. I just listened to that today. That's why it's in my head. Nice. But it was just like those things was like, okay, you know, if I'm completely losing myself, when in addition that alpha's not supposed to change you. Nothing's supposed to change you. It's supposed to only enhance the pre-existing person you are. Exactly. Thus, you wouldn't have been brought in if you weren't a man of character and quality and smart and all those things. Absolutely. So if you're clamming up and you're not talking or being who you are, you're not even the person that should have brought in. And I just remember one day I was like, I don't know what it was. It was just over the summer. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be goofy as hell. Who cares?
Yeah.
And the day I did that is actually the day I became a better brother of the fraternity.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I started taking leadership roles. I started going to conferences. Absolutely. I started helping kids the way I help kids. I started mentoring. I started becoming the advisor for the alphas on campus. But that was when I stopped fighting that. Like, stopped.
That's great.
Completely. And then that Game Boy, I brought it with me. I got the Game Boy now. Like, y'all see I got Pokemon Yellow. Like, they know I do. Like, Phil, like, literally, we were hanging out one time. Me and my LBs are hanging out. And this dude's like, we're drinking, hanging out. And I'm like, still hanging out with my friends, a little kickback, a little chill thing.
Right.
And I bring out the Pokemon Yellow, and they're like, "Are you seriously playing this right now?" I'm like, "Yeah." Well, I mean, what? I'm still talking. Like, so I'm like,
of course.
So I'm going back to like my middle school thing where I'm hanging out with my friends and still got my Pokemon out. And the day I did that, it was just the day I was like, the weird part is when I did that, I hear other people say, "Oh, you got that yellow? I like it too." And I was like, wow. When I started giving myself permission, more people gave them permissions. And it was like, you realize that everyone tries to be cool or fit in until you're not fitting in. And the day you don't fit, the day you don't care about fitting in, it's weird. You actually start fitting in. You start building connections.
Preach.
Like the day you like say, "I don't care what people think," and you say that, then other people are like, "I like that too." Because and I was hoping someone would say it. I would. They were waiting for someone else to have the same interest. Like, oh, I always loved Vanessa Carlton too. I just didn't want to say nothing because I thought no one else liked it.
I
Um,
get down with Vanessa. She's awesome. Yeah.
yeah, so it was very interesting, and it was just weird to say that as a 34-year-old man.
No, I get it,
The
man.
the I think as a 34-year-old man, it came to reality because I think what it was the slow drip of
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle of
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
from middle school on, from middle school all the way up until this point. It wasn't like I said, just one incident. It was just little micro incidences of this is how you have to act. This is how black people act. This is how this acts.
You are
That
preaching.
eventually there was I guess, a tipping point where you're just like,
You are preaching.
you can't take it no more. You don't want.
Yeah.
I mean, and
It's
it goes
exhausting.
unchecked.
It's exhausting.
It
So
is.
yeah.
Yes.
So here's what I'll say, Phil. Here's what I'll say. So first and foremost, yeah, Pokemon Yellow is great. I prefer Pokemon Silver. That's just me.
Is that new gen? Because I stopped past
Ooh,
yellow.
yeah, Pokemon Silver. That's old school. Like I just took it
I
back.
know. All I know is red, blue, and yellow.
Yeah, so you had Silver and Gold as well, and then you also had Emerald, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Silver came out when I was in ninth grade. I
Yes.
believe.
I remember I got one of mine. I got it in 6th grade. Okay, so
Yeah, so Silver was spectacular. So yeah, Pokemon. Get down Pokemon too. Actually prefer Pokemon over Digimon. That's just me. But in being that nerd, when you join the fraternity, our mission statement is, that we develop leaders from a brotherhood and academic excellence while providing service and advocacy for the communities. So when you become a member, it's like, wow, like I made it. Like we're doing these incredible things. Maybe there is a certain way in which I need to behave. So, my first few months, in the organization, I had kind of put the nerdiness, and my true personality on the bench, and just really kind of emphasize the business version of myself, that
suited and booted.
Exactly. That public relations practitioner, that no nonsense person. Like, so my line brother saw a very regimented version of myself, very few jokes, very few nerd references, just, about business,
Yes.
and at the end of the day, while that aspect of me may be true between the hours of 8:30 to 5:30 when I'm the director of PR, at the marketing agency, that's not, representative of my true personality, so many times I go home and be like, damn, why is it that I don't feel comfortable being myself, so it's very similar to you, Phil. Like I had to get to a point where I was like, you know what, this is who I am. I got to own it, but it's not necessarily just, with the fraternity or the organization.
Yes.
I can be like that whenever I walk into a room of, other people that may look like me, because I feel like maybe, as an African American, maybe we are supposed to behave a certain way. And even though, I'm 32 years old, it is something that I still occasionally struggle with. Yes. What's fascinating to me is when I am talking to Black children, Black boys especially, yes. I own the nerdiness, because they run up to me and they will ask me questions about, Star Wars,
yes.
Lando Calrissian specifically, because Lando's my boy. Billy D. Williams did that in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Or they may ask me questions about, Black Panther, or Black Lightning, yeah. Or what have you, and I'm able to answer those questions, So I really click with kids. But if I walk into a room of, like, Black men that may be my same age, sometimes, I may be like, oh, I don't know how, I'm going to be, perceived, if I walk in with the Star Wars t-shirt, or whatnot, and that's, that's something that I still continue to wrestle with to this day.
Yes.
Is it a good thing? Nah, that's my own personal struggle, given things that I've been through in my life, but it's like I said before, diversity and inclusion, your uniqueness is what makes you special, so you just have to own it, and that's something that I have to remind myself about every day.
Well, you said two things. One is that, and I picked up on it, is diversity and inclusion. Usually it's not just a variety of people at the table, as if they feel included or belong at the table. So usually that's why it's a two-headed stone. So like that's why they should just say, no one just says diversity. Like it should be diverse but also inclusive, right? A sense of belonging. So diversity and inclusion are a 1-2 punch. Another thing that I think stood out to me was you said way earlier that it's exhausting. It is tiring, right? It's work. Like
It is.
like being an actor, and
Right.
like ready, set, go, say your lines. That's acting, but at the end of the day, that's tiring. It takes effort to do that, to hold up that facade. And I remember just feeling actually tired, like actually tired of certain things. And I think the less and less you go right into yourself, it's less effort. Usually they say those kind of things with like activities that you love or feel passionate about. You're in your flow state, right, where you're just doing and being. You're not even thinking about it. Like you said, when you're hanging out with those kids and you're just being yourself, and you're not even thinking about what you're saying to the kids, but they're building rapport. That's like a flow state, right? That's a natural feeling for you.
Right.
But when you're not in a flow state and you actually have to put in lots of work and effort, it can be exhausting. It takes a lot of work. So I think there's a time where it's a balance where it's like, how do you not feel exhausted trying to hold up facades? And I think eventually when you kind of just let go and be yourself, kind of ride into that true self, things come a lot easier. And like I said, I think you still can get the work done of anything, not just alpha, your normal job, being yourself. I think, obviously there's a level of professionalism, right? We can't be too turned at our different places. We do have some boundaries.
This is true.
There's some boundaries there, but the boundaries should not impede who you are. The boundaries should just be like, I guess, normal societal norms, right? Like you're not going to, best self, you're not going to come to an alpha meeting in pajamas, like there's cultural norms to our fraternity, right? Like we wear suits.
Just
and all
like
those
you can
things.
go to work in pajamas.
Yeah. I mean, I would
if
I worked at home, but
yeah. right.
Yeah, but like you're right. There are some norms, there are some pockets, there are some systems that are in place that need to be intact for certain things. But there's times where you go against the norm to be yourself. You kind of have to find that line too.
Yeah.
Who you can joke with at work, who can't joke with,
Precisely.
who can you joke with in a chapter meeting, who can't you, and you just find those, you find those parts where you can kind of let off a little bit of who you are, but still maintain boundaries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. It's so true, Phil. So true.
So I think we kind of touched upon that too, is that as we elevated ourselves, we both have experienced. I wrote an article recently about imposter syndrome.
Yeah, you did, and it
and
was
I think
great.
I think in regards to our nerdum, we also diminish our accomplishments and how smart we are because we're around a bunch of other smart people. So we don't think we're as smart. And I remember I had to deal with that too. I actually kind of remember just, it already started off that way where, going to my first interest meeting, they, just the interest meeting, they had all the people stand up. And I felt like, wow, I thought I was accomplished getting a master's, but everyone in their mama has a master's. That ain't nothing now, right? And so when I got in there, it was really hard to say, wow, these are doctors, lawyers, really high professional people. And I had a really hard time feeling like I was a part of that.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. So I've been there. It's interesting. Michelle Obama actually talks about imposter syndrome in her book, Becoming, which is, if you haven't read it, I definitely recommend it. So I didn't even know what imposter syndrome was until I read her book, her memoir, and I was just like, wow, okay, so this is what I feel, sometimes. So before I became the director of public relations at the current marketing agency that I work for, at the previous one where I was employed, I remember on my first day when I met my coworkers, and each of them were telling me, what it is that they do at the agency, and they were listing off their credentials and, things that they've accomplished and awards and accolades that they had garnered. And, internally, externally, I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's spectacular. But internally, I was like, wow, like, how am I going to, measure up, and do I have a right to be here? Do I have a right to have a seat at the table, And many times I would go home, feeling down.
Yes.
I call my dad or my mom, they give me a pep talk, and, they remind me that, hey, they saw something in you, hence the reason you were hired,
Yes.
you are there for a reason. Like, do
Yes.
not doubt yourself,
Yes.
sometimes, I would have those same, emotions, and also too, come to think of it, looking back, like, I was the only African American, at that agency as well. As a matter of fact, I was the only person of color there. I was the
Yes.
only minority.
Yeah.
when
No,
I look back,
that adds to it too.
yeah,
You know.
that's certainly added to it. You're definitely right, Bill. That's certainly added to it.
I mean, usually it's marginalized groups or women and women that feel that sense of not being accomplished enough.
Yeah,
That they're gonna find out that you're a fraud, and I mean, disproportionately, I think everyone has that sense. I've even met white men that feel it, but in regards to magnitude, I feel like disproportionately it affects women and people of color,
mm-hmm.
um, or just groups that feel like that's not the norm. When you're
Right.
not, and so
Precisely.
but the crazier part about this too is I felt it even in a group of all black men. So
Wow.
it doesn't mean, like you said, right? Like you were the one person of color and felt it, but I felt it in regards to just other men of esteem
Mm-hmm.
that had accomplishments, and um, you know, and I think what I've come to find out is that this was not a new sensation. It's
Yeah.
anytime I level up.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say I level up, hit any form of, you know, I got my master's. I don't belong here in grad school.
Yeah.
Like it was just always that next level of environment where I was
Right.
like, I don't belong here. And the only reason why I feel like that is because people also would put on somewhat a facade. Like, um, when you're in grad school, you're serious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I always felt like everyone's serious. And so I had to work on saying, okay, yes, but
Mm-hmm.
you did, as you said, you
Mm-hmm.
got hired. You did all the prerequisites. So logically, if we went about this, no feelings involved, completely on paper,
Mm-hmm.
spotlight. You went through a HR process.
Exactly.
They saw your resume. They say master's required or whatever,
Right.
bachelor's required. You
Right.
hit the requirements and you got hired. So
Precisely.
on paper, you belong there. It's
You know,
just more those feelings about that. It's more like not the logic part; it's the feelings part.
And what's funny? Philip, is I didn't even apply for that job.
Mm-hmm.
They came after me because somehow, some way, either they stumbled across my LinkedIn profile or they came across my resume, and they sought me out
Mm-hmm.
for the public relations manager position there, and then they hired me. But still, even knowing that they sought me out,
Mm-hmm.
my first few weeks there, I just kind of felt like, wow, like, do I really belong here?
Yeah, they're gonna catch
Um,
on. Even they sucked me
right.
out, but they sucked me out on. They saw my LinkedIn profile, but
Yeah.
they didn't really see me, so they're gonna
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah. I agree. And what's interesting with me, Philip, and it's something that I'm working on, is what happens with me is I always feel the need to, to keep going. It's always like, what's next? What do you
Mm-hmm.
need to accomplish next, Jaylen, to feel as though, you made it, or that you have a seat at the table, like,
Yes, the level up. Yeah.
precisely. Does that mean a master's degree? Does that mean a PhD? Does that mean a certificate in corporate communication? Does that mean, buying the house, or, joining this
Mm-hmm.
organization, or
Mm-hmm.
holding this leadership position? So
Mm-hmm.
with me, I am I'm a very ambitious person. So out of the five of us on my line brothers and I am known as the ambitious one out of the five of us. And sometimes, my line brothers are like, Jaylen, slow down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you
No.
need to rest. Like, you are
Yeah.
not getting enough sleep. My
Yeah.
line brother Orlando, he's my number two. He told me recently, he was like, Jaylen, you have got to master balance. Like,
Yeah.
you're always on the go, but bro, like, you gotta take some time for yourself.
You gonna crash? Yeah.
You're gonna crash. Exactly, you're gonna crash. But
Yeah.
it's like I achieve these things, Philip, but I never take the time to really enjoy what it is that I've achieved. It's like it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
register with me, because then after I achieve it, I
What's
now have
next?
to move on to the next thing.
Yeah. What's
Like,
next?
what's
Yeah.
next?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I
So
feel
I'm in
that.
this phase right now where I'm trying to, to slow down and really evaluate, what it is that I'm involved in. Do I need to be in this organization? Do I need to have this leadership position? If I have this position,
how many committees can you be on? Oh yeah, no,
exactly.
Jaylen, you're like literally my brother from another mother, because
Yeah.
I had to slow down too, and I
Yeah.
don't slow down.
Yeah.
And my actual supervisor told me, Phil, like, you're gonna try to be the master of none, or was it jack of all trades and master of none? You're gonna burn yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, shout out to my supervisor. She had me write out all the things I'm trying to get done in my life, all the goals. And she's like, yo, look at this list. I'm gonna send you a picture of this list later. And it was ridiculous. It was like, yo, something's got to get off. You can like delete some stuff, you know.
Yeah.
She had me read a book, or our whole staff read a book called Essentialism, like learn how to say no to things.
Yeah.
Because I realized I say yes to everything because I'm trying to prove something.
Preach.
To this imaginary rival or something.
Yeah.
Someone that I'm trying to beat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. How do you say, like, one up? I'm trying to one up someone. And technically the thing is, I'm not trying to one up anyone else. I'm not like, like, I see your accomplishments and I'm not trying to say, oh, let me be better than Jaylen.
Right.
It's almost like this. It's like this invisible rival. That's the one. That's the person I'm trying to beat.
Exactly.
And I'm never quite beating that person. And you ever play Mario Kart, right?
Yes.
Remember Mario Kart where they had that thing where you do your own timed race and you're chasing that random, like, ghost looking one?
Mm-hmm.
But you can't, you have to beat the time. That's what it feels like. Like, I feel like I'm always trying to beat myself or this indivisible person full throttle, but I'm never catching them. And the more and more I do, and then I try to really evaluate what's the why. And so I think that's a lot of the processing that we're both still working on. Like, why am I really doing this? Am I doing this for the betterment of the community?
Right.
Am I doing this for the betterment of kids? Am I doing this so I can stunt and be recognized?
Yeah.
Some of the time is both.
If you're being honest, absolutely.
Yeah. I get a good sense of. I do have a sense of altruism where I feel good about myself when I help someone else, but then at the same time, it's like, I'm not trying to get recognized. And so, that is something when I had the continuous process, because as your line brother said it so wisely, is that if you keep on going at this pace, you can't maintain it. You're gonna burn out. And that's another part of that exhausting part. Trying to be something to all these different people is gonna be exhausting.
Right. Well, I've always wanted to be a multi-hyphenate, so I knew that as a child. Like, I don't think I knew the term multi-hyphenate, but as a
you need to explain. I never heard that. What's that mean?
Yeah, so multi-hyphenate is a individual that has multiple professions. So you know how you can be like writer, actor, motivational speaker, all of that, So as a child, I knew I wanted to be a multi-hyphenate. Didn't know the term, but I knew I wanted to be a multi-hyphenate.
Now you have to put that in the show notes, because I think that's what I've never heard of that, and I think that's what I want to do too.
Yeah, so that's what I want. So that's still my dream, even at age 32. Like, I'm trying to be a multi-hyphenate, and I kind of feel as though I've achieved it to some extent. Just not the extent in which I necessarily want to be at, quite frankly.
So does it mean you have like multiple sources of income and you just do a jack of all trades?
Exactly.
Do you get paid for all the different ones? Is that what it means?
So precisely, you should be. In a perfect world, yes, a multi-hyphenate is able to receive multiple streams of income from the different professions that they are in. So
who's a famous one? Who's like a good one, like Paul Robeson or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Or you could say Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is one. Actor, producer, motivational speaker. He does all of that, entrepreneur. So Vanessa Williams comes to mind. I love Vanessa Williams. I think she's phenomenal.
Acting, USA, different things. Okay.
Exactly.
Someone that's an author and do all kinds of different things,
Precisely. Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to do, Phil. So I have this comic book that I wrote that's just sitting on my desk, Phil, and it's been sitting on my desk since 2014. It's 2019 right now. All right. It's been on my desk since 2014. But I've been so busy, in all these other organizations that I've kind of put like my own dreams on the back burner, So, in 2020, so what I've been telling people, next year is 2020. In 2020, the vision is clear, Phil. All right.
Yeah.
So everything that I haven't been able to do because I've been either trying to, to land this leadership position, in the United Negro College Fund or for the library or the Orlando Economic Partnership. All that stuff is great, but in 2020, I'm starting to, evaluate what it is that I'm doing. Like, why am I in this organization? Why am I holding this position? Maybe I can be in the organization and step down from this position. Maybe
like still do the work, but not as a committee person, not the head of it.
Exactly. So I want to get back, to owning and embracing my creative side, because I majored in, journalism and communications, but I minored in theater, so I've done, plays and shows, but I haven't been on stage since like 2014, 2013, so
wow.
Yeah, and if I'm not.
So you have all these pockets.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you my picture. Have you written out all the things you've been trying to do and which ones you might have to scratch off?
So this past weekend, I took Friday off to give myself a 3-day weekend, and I just sat down and wrote down all of the things that I want to manifest in the new year. Even if it doesn't come to fruition in 2020, I at least want to be able to say that I got the ball rolling.
I got that. I've done that too.
I feel like I have established myself as a businessman, so to speak, a public relations practitioner. But like we were saying earlier, there are multiple facets to our personalities, and I think that I have now been branded as a public relations practitioner, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because I am good at public relations and I do enjoy the job, but there's a whole lot of other stuff that I want to do. Before I got into public relations, I only got into PR because I had a mortgage that I had to pay, but as a child, I always was able, to write short stories and draw comic books and come up with, funny characters and whatnot. And at the end of the day, that's still what I want to do. So I need to, make that happen and embrace that nerdiness, so to speak.
Yes, yeah. We pulled it back. We finally pulled it back to nerdiness, but that's true.
I try.
I'm saying it's good. That's just the PR part, but that's the core part, right? I think the core part, what we're trying to, I think even coming down all the way, that whole cycle thing is that at the end of the day, there is, like the people therapists, there's an inner child, the inner child that just wants to be the person that they are. And through life, we grow up, we become adults, whatever, but we always try to get back to that. And I remember someone told me, I was listening to a podcast about that, and the more and more we fight that, the more and more, like, you're just not going to be happy. Like, you always see this person that maybe was a lawyer, but at the end of the day, like, what was something that you always wanted to do and you just stopped doing it? Like, I always just like to dance.
Right.
So why don't you, why did you get rid of that fun, creative hobby of dancing? Well, like you said, bills and life. So it's like we got to find a way to still embrace the things we like to do as a kid, which is nerdy stuff for us. Our things. Sometimes for kids, sometimes people always love sports and they got way away from it, as they got older. But for me, like I said, me and you, I think I've always had a love for reading, but in a sense that I didn't like normal science stuff. I like science fiction. I always loved fantasy. I always loved dreaming, daydreaming. I always loved superheroes and flying and random Pokemon and characters and RPGs, this whole thing. And I think the times where I get back to that and just get back to that kid feeling, I feel so good. I love playing, Mario and Zelda and just that childhood mindset. So I think at sometimes we get away from it, but we need to bring it back. And I think, quite honestly, in regards to being a nerd and all that stuff, I think that the part that's helped the most is my kids. They started to love it, so I just watch it with them. I use it as an excuse, But I'm watching the season 1 of Pokemon again because I'm watching it with my son and sharing those hobbies with him. But
absolutely,
I think you have it too. It's like I think you're trying to manifest that. Like, what was the things that you were doing that you liked for fun? And as we become adults and quote quote adults, we get a little bit away from that. And so we need. I think in 2020 for both of us, we need to scratch off what are some of these extra things that we're doing that is getting us away from our very core things. Like And that's when I wrote out my list. Like, what's my core things? My main identities is, husband, father, friend. Those are my top ones before alpha.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so the more and more I get away from that, like, let's say overlapping, a lot of my good friends are alphas, you know what I'm saying? But not all my friends are alphas.
Of course.
And so the further away I've gotten from those friends that I had pre-alpha, the less happy I felt. So I need to get back to those core things that made me happy.
Yeah.
And still, like you said, maintain that balance, say no to some things. Because you said it just too, like with accomplishments and things, the more and more, the crazy part is the better you do, the more and more people want you.
Yeah.
The better you do at your job, which is a blessing and a curse, people notice. Yeah. And so they start asking you to be on things and asking you to do things. And that's not even, it's a flattering thing.
Right. Right.
But then you just say yes because you have this need to please and prove yourself that you say yes to all these jobs. And then eventually you're not doing your job effectively because you're doing way too much.
Exactly.
So then it eventually bites you in the butt.
Story of my life, Philip.
So you do well, right? You do really well. People notice. People want you to say, yo, I want Jaylen on my committee for this. Yeah. And you're on 10 committees, and then you're not committing quality work to any of them because you're overdoing it.
Exactly. You get caught up and you look back and you're like, wow, how did this happen? How did I end up being on like in 8 different organizations? Where did the time go? Yeah,
exactly. And also like, and the crazy part is like someone else can do this work. I think when we're trying to prove ourselves, we're like, only they want me. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, they want me. But in actuality, it's like someone else could do it too.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to worry about that pressure. Like, it's you or no one else.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. One of my biggest fears, I forget who I said this to. I might have been telling my best friend Matthew this, but one of my biggest fears is, like, I don't want to turn, 60 or 65 or 70 and then look back over my life and say, wow, here's a list of things that I wish I had manifested or wish I had accomplished, but for whatever reason, I was involved in, X, Y, and Z and didn't, bring my own dreams into fruition or make my own dreams a reality. So that's one of my biggest fears. So that's why, like it hit me recently, like, Jaylen, you're only getting older. You're not getting younger. You're only getting older, So in 2020, you got to do it, and at least try. I'd rather that I tried and failed than to have said that I didn't try at all. So
yeah, and 100%. And I think, as you said too, like, I don't know, it's just like, it's not as scary when you try these things and setting a plan. I think the main thing about trying, though, in regards to it is you try strategically so that you don't want to go in it with the mindset you're going to fail. You go in it with the mindset that you're going to win or whatever, accomplish it. But I think at the same time, it's balance. Like, if you know that this goal or the thing you want to manifest is going to take a lot of time, which is true, because a lot of dreams don't happen overnight. They take a lot of work.
Of course.
Then something has to be sacrificed.
Of course.
And at that time, you have to, like, knock some things off that are not as important to that.
Hey, Luke Skywalker started out as a simple farm boy, and
water farmer too. Who farms water?
I know he did. Hey, he was on Tatooine. The whole entire planet is a desert. All right.
Yeah, but that's not even farming. It's called a well. Like, who farms that?
You gotta do what you gotta do. It's in a galaxy far, far away, Philip. You can't ask these kinds of questions.
That's why I kind of, spoiler alert, I be watching these movies. I'm like, this don't make no sense.
You gotta get immersed in it. It's all heightened reality. So it's just
it still don't make no sense
for a little while. But as I was saying, Luke Skywalker started out as a simple farmer.
Yeah.
Had a vision, had a dream. Put forth some effort, decided to try, and look at him now. He's a Jedi Master. Granted, he's dead. Spoiler.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, and then he tried to kill his nephew. I don't think that's a great.
He died in the last movie, but
his dad is jacked up, killed his dad, chopped his hand off, whatever. I don't know what he did. Like,
but the point is, he became, the most popular Jedi, in the galaxy.
With a fake hand.
with a fake hand, and that's okay though. It's okay. It happens to the best of us.
I guess so. That's a sacrifice you have to make. So I think we had a really good episode. We were all over the map, but I think we did definitely go back to the core. That in the core we like nerdy things, and the further we got away from it, and less from that core, we weren't enjoying ourselves. And so in 2020, we're playing all the Pokemon. We're going to comic conventions. You're gonna drop a comic. I'm gonna do something creative. Right. Maybe this is my career. Just something in regards to that.
Hey, well, first of all, before we sign off, and Phil,
oh no, we're not closing. So we got to still do our shot for shot.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, absolutely. So two things. One, Phil, thank you for having me on your podcast. I sincerely appreciate it. I told all of my friends about this. So the second that you edit it and you post it, like all of my friends will be listening to it. So I want to be sure to tell you that. And then two, in regards to your podcast, the fact that you have your own podcast, brother, I think that is just phenomenal. Not a lot of people can say that, and I think that's just great, so mad props to you. You got the 40 under 40, you got your own podcast, you're doing big things, right. So I'm very, very proud of you, man. Very proud.
I need some big money.
Don't we all? All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't we all, Phil?
Some big money. I love this.
That's why I'm trying to be this multi-hyphenate. I need this money.
Now, definitely put that in the show notes or send me that, because I need to read. I'm gonna learn something new.
Yeah,
I'm going to learn today. I learned today.
Absolutely.
Because I think that is like I like that. I would always love to have a cool job. Well, not a job, but multiple jobs.
Yeah.
Like different things. I always like to keep on moving. Absolutely. All right, so this is called Shot for Shot. You get to ask me any random question. I get to ask you any question, and you answer honestly. You want to go first? I'll go first.
You go first.
All right, so you did definitely say, what's the new word again? Word of the day?
Hyphenate?
Yeah, so if you can be a multi-hyphenate, right, and you get a little bit of time to write on a piece of paper, what are 5 occupations that you would just lump together? Not even completely.
For me?
5 occupations that you can lump together that are necessarily not even really together, just all kinds of different things. 5 of them.
So are you asking me to name 5 random occupations, or are you saying the multi-hyphenate that I myself aspire to be?
That one. But 5 of them. With 5 of them, though.
So I want to be a writer, actor, motivational speaker, public relations practitioner, and cartoonist.
There you go. All right, write that down. I want you to write that down.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, those are the 5 that I aspire to.
Okay, so tell me, you said all the different 5, right?
Yeah.
Tell me one goal that it's supposed to be one question, but now I'm so curious. Tell me one goal that you have for each of those different occupations.
Okay, so with the public relations thing, I kind of feel like I've achieved it already.
I got a job.
Director of PR, but got that with the job. Motivational speaker. I am looking to get back into giving inspirational messages, especially to the disadvantaged and the underprivileged.
Yes.
I know that we talked about alpha a bit on the podcast, but my line brothers, whom I love, they accompanied me to a speaking engagement last month to speak to the youth, speak to some young men. So I think I'm, making strides in the motivational speaker department.
Perfect.
In terms of writing,
yes.
Oh gosh, Phil, I got to get back into writing. I've actually written a few novels, but I haven't published them. I write it and I move on. So in 2020, I got to get my novels published.
Which subject? What kind? When you say novels, what kind of genre?
Yeah, so I would say this is like African American fiction, like drama. So
like Zane?
not quite Zane.
That's the only person I knew too. I don't know why Zane came out. Remember them Zane books? Them dudes are tripping.
Hey, I have Zane elements, but not 100%.
Yeah, everybody knows. I remember I read one of those too. I was like in 8th grade. Like, why am I reading this?
Yeah, Zane's intense. Zane's intense, bro. Zane ain't for the faint of heart, bro.
Zane is not. I read a Zane book. See.
Oh my god.
What section is that in the library? The adult section? What is that?
Yeah, it's definitely in the adult section. Yeah. In the back. Yeah, in the booth, in the back, in the corner, in the dark.
Yeah, same books. Right.
Oh
Okay.
man.
So you got novel, African American. So talking to the kids, that's one thing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The novels.
Yeah.
You said acting.
Yeah. Acting.
Improv.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with that?
Yeah. So I got to get back into theater, man. Like,
Okay.
so my last official play that I did was in 2014 here in Orlando with the Orlando Shakespeare Theater.
Okay.
And then last year, so, full transparency, we're brothers. I had a bad 2016 and I had a bad 2017. But my 2018 was like my comeback year. So
your bounce back year. Okay.
Yeah, I bounced back wonderfully. Praise God. God is good. Got a new job. Got the house. I took a break from grad school, but I returned to grad school in 2018.
Yes.
Just started to get things back on track. And then one of those things was I returned to theater briefly. I participated in a stage reading of A Raisin in the Sun.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, which was great, and it really felt good to be back on stage. But like I said, it was a stage reading. It was not an actual full-fledged production. So in 2020, I told myself that I want to do just at least one play, just one production, just to get back into it, get the juices flowing again.
But that's a lot of work. So which one's gonna? I mean, okay, I'm not gonna. This can't be no career counseling thing. So I ain't no career counseling there because that's a lot of. I know that's a lot of work. That's gonna be a lot of work with the auditions and. So one of the things. Well, you already have the novel, so technically you already have the novel ready. You just gotta.
It's already ready. I just gotta publish it.
So that's good. That's not really a thing you have to put effort in. You already have it done.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay. You got the plan.
So,
I know you got the plan.
Yeah.
We got the speaking. We got the play. We got the books.
Yeah.
We got your PR job, and what was one more? I can't remember the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you said that too. You already have that on your desk, so you have all these things already there.
Precisely. I just need someone to push me. That's what I need. I need someone to come in, kick my door down, and be like, Jaylen, what the hell are you doing?
Just like, take it on Amazon or take it to the editor or whatever you gotta do.
Exactly.
But it's there. At least it's there. At least you don't have to start from scratch.
Precisely. So Philip, multi-hyphenate seems to be the word of the day.
I like that word.
I'm gonna pose the same question to you. What are some things that you want to do, bro?
Multi-hyphenate. So I'm gonna write it down because this is now good. I like this.
Yeah.
Public speaker.
Okay.
Public speaker. Higher ed professional.
Mm-hmm.
So still in higher ed.
Mm-hmm.
These are the occupations. Career coach. I got two more. Podcast host.
What you're doing already.
Yeah, and then you said 5. I'm gonna try to do 5. No, actually, I think 4 is good. Essentialism 4.
Fantastic 4.
Yeah, I had to take one off. I don't want it over. So public speaking, as you said, same thing. Especially with Alpha, we get a chance to go to the high schools and talk, but I want to be able to do it in a grander scheme. I want to be able to talk to a large audience of people. So I've been trying to do Toastmasters or TEDx's or anything like that to get on the stage. I love the thrill of public speaking, but it makes me scared, but good scared to talk in front of hundreds of people.
You seem like you're natural, though. You seem like you'd be a natural at it, though, Philip.
Oh, I try. I just kind of talk. And then I just need to – I think I use Toastmasters to help me be more refined and more thoughtful and use the room. And because usually when I talk in front of a lot of people, I don't get so nervous, but I still do stand still. I don't move. So I need to it's more about learning technique more than just actual, being scared. I just need to be more refined.
Understood.
Higher ed professional. I love working on a college campus. I would never replace that just in general. So wherever I do, I want to have that aspect of working on a college campus. Career coach. I like just helping people too, so I want to help them on their careers too on the side. So that kind of helps me move. And podcast host. That's what I do now, but I just want to make sure it just keeps on going. It's been consistent. I've been happy doing one episode a week. Yeah. So I just want to keep that same energy going into 2020. I want to host one live podcast one day, like an event or a party. But I just want to keep on doing it,
Okay.
I think what I say is just keep on doing it. It's like I know that I had to take a break over the summer to record a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it I want to be able to be so in a system that it doesn't becomes like an automatic thing, and which this podcast has. But it like the public speaking, it just needs refinement, and I need to get better. But it's way better than when it started. I don't know when it started. So those are my 5 things, and I think those are actually like really cool. Oh yeah, get paid for all of them.
Right. Free. That part.
Yeah.
That part right there. That part.
Like you have the book.
And get paid for all of them.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Like you get the book, but you get published and you get paid off the book.
Exactly.
I want to get paid out of all of these. Like, and I'm not saying buku money, but just something where this podcast right now, I'm paying all. The hobby, the host.
Yeah.
Just have it pay me back a little bit. That's all.
Yeah. You want to be comfortable. I definitely understand.
Or just pay back the hobby at least so it breaks even.
Yeah, I know. I need my money. I need all the coins.
Oh, you need more than breaking.
I need coins. All right. Yeah. I'm not saying I need to be super rich, but I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to wake up in the morning and be like, you know what? I feel like going to Hawaii today just because. All right, let's go. All right, let's go to Hawaii.
That'd be really fun. The travel, like the actual access to travel would be really cool. I think that if I was rich like that, I'd do the same thing. It'd be more about experiences rather than materials. Like I just want to go to Comic-Con in San Diego. I'm buying tickets.
My coworker and I were talking about this the other day, Philip. Like if I was a billionaire, I would seriously, in all sincerity, I would spend my days touring nonprofits and homeless shelters and like philanthropic organizations and seeing what it was that they were doing and seeing how it is that I could be of assistance. Like if I was a billionaire, I would spend my days doing that and just cutting checks, to these organizations and saying, hey, go help this child, or go help this senior citizen or what have you. If I had all the money, that is exactly how I'd spend my days. But
I'd probably still look normal. Like not be rich, but I think if I was that way, it'd be a lot of my money would go somewhere toward education.
Absolutely.
Like maybe not own it. I mean, not like run a college, but behind the scenes paying for everything.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I love education. I think education is the access to so many things.
Yes.
So I'd probably do a lot of that, and then I'll just ball out like with experiences, like I'd be secret rich. Like Philip's in Vegas, but he looks like he's not in Vegas because he looks normal. He looks homeless. So like no one. I would live under my means, but like sneakily under my means. Like people won't know.
I'm with you.
People wouldn't know how much I donated either. I wouldn't stunt.
Yeah, see, and I would be the same.
It'd be an undercover stunt. Like, you see my name. It's like Wilkerson Hall, and I'm like, yeah. Like I'm standing next to someone. It's like Wilkerson. Yeah, that's my name is Philip Wilkerson. And they're like, what? Yeah. Really? Yeah, that's my building. But no one would know that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Unless it was Philip with the 1 L. You spell your name with the 1 L. So all the name, they'd be like, oh, it has to be you.
Now I'd be like, it's my dad's building, it's not mine. I try to play it off so they don't ask me for no money. That's why.
Right. Precisely. Exactly. I'm with you on that, bro. I'm with you.
So that's a good shot for shot. I think we are at the end of our episode, but as before I always end every episode, I give all my guests an opportunity to do shout outs, whoever you want to shout out, and plugs. Plugs as in anything that is your side venture, whatever you're working on that you want the audience to be familiar about. Say that, shout outs and plugs, and just make sure that whatever you plug, you send it to me so I can put it and include it in the show notes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's see. Shout out to my mom and my dad and my sister Brittany, my best friend Matt, and my line brothers, Orlando Shepard, Benjamin Garcia, Carlin Johnson, and Roosevelt Holmes. Yeah. And then in regards to things that I want to plug.
Yeah.
Well, nothing is published yet, but hey, when my comic book and my novels publish, stay tuned, listeners, you'll be hearing about it. But, one thing that I definitely want to push is, reading. Like I said,
yes.
a community with a first-rate library system is a better place to live, So if you don't have your library cards, please go to your respective libraries in your local communities, get that card. And remember that libraries don't just offer, books and novels.
Yeah.
The vast majority of them also offer, cooking classes and sewing courses and job preparation courses and things of that nature. And, the whole gamut,
And also meeting rooms. I would say Fairfax County, but, all kinds of Alexandria, or even our chapter. Now, I was about to say this, our chapter uses a public library. So, like you can rent library space. So if you have an organization and you need a meeting room, a library is a great place for the community for you to get a library, to get a room.
Preach.
I mean, it's a great resource. I didn't know that. I was like, man, you can book a room here at the library. And a lot of things happen too within politics.
Yeah.
A lot of open forums or little mini discussions or town halls and things take place in the library.
Absolutely.
Which I didn't even do that.
Here in Orlando, Florida, we actually have 16 libraries. One large one downtown, and then 15 branches. And when I moved here, I was just blown away.
Are they huge? Yeah, I mean, our library system in Fairfax County, the county I live in, is pretty extensive and lots of libraries, and all of them are pretty top notch and clean.
Yeah, and clean. That part.
And I'm saying like clean and have like nice facilities. They don't like run down. They look really, really nice. Most of the school, most of the libraries. For clean.
Can I get an amen for clean? Amen.
Yeah, get them in. And so, and then you can rent movies there too. Kids don't know that. You can rent movies. You can rent movies, old cartoons, Disney movies. You can rent that at the library, parents. Yeah, so if you're struggling, get a library card. You can rent the movies there instead of having to use Redbox.
See, back in our day, we used to make it a blockbuster night, but now, make it a library night. So, I tried. It was a little corny, but it came from the heart.
No, I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? No. Dad jokes with no kids, you know what I'm saying? You got it.
Read a book as opposed to watching the basketball. All right.
The basketball. Yo, I'm about to start saying that. Like when the season starts, I'm like, yo, Jaylen, I'm watching the basketball.
The basketball, yes, the basketball.
I'm probably do THEEE. So Jaylen, it's been a pleasure. Obviously, someday we will meet in person. But as I said to the audience, there's relationships where you meet and your spirit and who you are as a person speaks through in the telephone or in text, and the support is authentic and it's there. I feel like you're a good friend that I've never met yet, but we will meet someday.
Absolutely.
Through this brotherhood. I think that's another thing that's also shared is that, in a town of one or so, I don't know, golly, I murdered that poem. Point is, we will see each other, but at the same time, I think that's that shared spirit of trying to make the world a better place. That's what the fraternity is all about. But it's also just about that organic. I could tell you're a good person. And so I know saying that when you fall away from yourself and not staying true to you, you're doing a disservice to your family and friends, the people that really enjoy you. The less and further away you go from being yourself. I'm pretty sure your line brother agreed when I say that. So, and I'm speaking out to myself. I think the further away I went from myself, the less I was the person that people naturally gravitated in the first place. So it's just crazy when you act like yourself. The people that you're worried about pushing away actually come to you closer because you're your true self, or the people that you should be close to come to you because when you're your true self, they want to see the real you. So keep being you. Keep on listening to podcasts. Everyone else out there in the world, listen to the podcast. And we're out. That was a good recording. Thank you for listening to Positive Filter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity of Movement. Thanks for listening.